celebrating 100 years of Disney animation, is very much at the center of their latest film. Let's talk about Wish. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Disney film Wish. This is in theaters right now. It is their latest animated feature and really takes to heart the history of Disney animation. We're going to talk about all of this here in just a moment. But first, let me welcome you into the channel. Thank you for finding this video on Dan Reviews It. We have a ton of movie and TV reviews here on the channel. I try to post something new just about every day. So always a lot to check out. Please consider subscribing, of course. Click the like button, comment below, do all the things, and that would be great for the channel. All right, so Wish is the new movie, and for a while on this channel, and I would love to get back to it here. I know my buddy Tim that was doing these videos with me would probably like to as well. But for a while we were doing the history of Disney. We were looking at all of the both animated and live action movies. We got all the way up to like the early 60s, I think 62 or 63 maybe. So we went through, a good 15 years of Disney films. So I consider myself a little bit of, a Disney historian in that regard. And I've watched a lot of the special features on some of the DVDs, really diving into the history of the animation and this and that. So the thing that struck me immediately at first about this movie is the storybook motif. This is something that Walt Disney used very much, maybe in excess with a lot of his early films, especially the animated films, because a lot of them were based on books like Sleeping Beauty and, Cinderella, etc. And so here with Wish, we start with a storybook motif and a narrator sort of reading as we're flipping the pages of the book. So right away I thought, oh, this is really cool. This is a nice kind of throwback to the Disney classics. But then as the film gets going, the animation style it's clearly computer generated. Everything's CGI these days, ever since for Disney, The Princess and the Frog. But it is made to look 2D with the 2D backgrounds. The characters in the foreground maybe are not quite meant to look 2D, but all of the background stuff looks like matte paintings from those classic movies. So clearly I was like, okay, well, this is an homage. They give us the Disney 100 logo at the beginning of the movie, and then the main sort of plot of this movie is wishing on a star, and of course that is the theme for Disney, When You Wish Upon a Star, from back in the day, from Pinocchio. And so this is really a kind of love letter of sorts to the rich Disney animation history. And if you stay through the closing credits, they have in order, and they don't use all of them, but I would say at least 50 probably of them, they use little icons or characters from the Disney classic movies, starting with Snow White and going all the way up to Strange World from last year, in little star-shaped patterns over the credits. So that's kind of cool and fun. My friend and I were trying to guess, which ones were coming next. I was right once we got to like the Little Mermaid era. I was right on a lot of them moving forward, but some of them I had mixed up a little bit. But anyway, so this whole movie is a clear love letter to the history of Disney Animation Studios, the legacy of Disney 100, and all of that. But is it a good movie? We're going to talk about that part now, because certainly all of that stuff, honestly, to me, is in the positive column. I thought it was really cool to kind of see that homage to the 2D animation and all of that stuff. So, that part I definitely like. But the main plot of the movie here is we have the 17-year-old girl named Asha, voiced by Ariana DeBose. And by the way, boy, there are a ton of stars in this movie, voice talent wise. Not maybe your A-listers, but people that you would certainly recognize, like Victor Garber, Alan Tudyk, of course, he's sort of Disney's secret weapon lately, Evan Peters from the X-Men movies, Rami Youssef. So there's people that you'll know here. And then, of course, Chris Pine, if you didn't know, is here as well as Magnifico. He is the ruler of the city or town or whatever of Rosas, the kingdom of Rosas, and he basically takes people's wishes when they come of age, and basically kind of holds on to them. They're in these like little bubble things. And early in the movie, Asha goes to see Magnifico and see if she could be his assistant. So she learns kind of about these wishes, but it's at that point she learns his sort of evil plan, that he has control of these wishes. He decides which ones to grant and which ones will never be granted, and the bulk of them, he claims, will never be granted, including her 100-year-old grandfather and his wish, and that's played by Victor Garber. So Chris Pine voices Magnifico, and as the movie goes on, Asha wishes upon a star and realizes that she has some magical powers of her own, and it goes from there. That's all we'll say, sort of plot-wise, for spoiler's sake. But here's the issue with the movie. Because it's such a loving tribute to the history of the Disney animation legacy, I don't think that there's enough here that is original. A lot of it seems like sort of recycled ideas, and moments that maybe we've seen in other movies done better. And certainly, that goes back to the wishing upon a star and the animals, coming to life and starting to talk. We've seen that a lot before. However, here's the thing. This is going to be a slightly positive grade. It's certainly a mixed review, but I did have fun watching it. But one of the things I think that makes this pretty good is Magnifico is a pretty legit villain. Sometimes we have these villains that maybe are a little lackluster, but every so often we have a villain that really pops. And for me, Chris Pine's Magnifico is a pretty solid villain. And that does kind of help the story along. But in the negative column as well, you've got this whole host of friends of Asha's that, they're just so bland. They're either very one note or have no personality at all. There's a couple that really just don't, they have a couple of lines. They're nothings. And then the main woman, this is just sort of my own little distraction, but the main woman, they've designed, probably not on purpose, I would think, to look like Ms. Swan, the old Mad TV character, and it was very distracting. They had the exact haircut, and the shape of her face and everything, so that was a little bit distracting. But some of those people just had no personality. So didn't love really any of the supporting characters. I really liked Asha and her design, and Ariana DeBose, gives her a really great voice. And speaking of voices, this is a musical. The songs are a little bit hit or miss, but there are a couple that I think are really well done. And then a few that are very forgettable. So a bit mixed on the music as well. So look, overall, this is a bit of a mixed bag for sure. But I will leave it with a slight positive grade because of the great villain Magnifico, and just the treatment of this movie, the treatment of the animation and the storybook opening and stuff as a tribute to Disney, I think was well done. And it wasn't like, it's not so over the top that every single person that goes is going to be like, oh wow, what a tribute to Disney that was, rolling their eyes. No, I mean, I just happened to watch all of those old movies pretty recently, so that was kind of fresh in my mind. So overall, this is another not great movie from Disney. I think the last great animated movie they have was Raya and the Last Dragon was very good. I think I ended up giving that an A-, so I would kind of put that in the close to great camp. But the last few have been a bit of a miss. Strange World, I think I gave a C to, or maybe a C+ if I was being generous that day. But I will leave this one slightly higher than that. This is the same grade I think I gave Encanto a few years ago. I will leave Wish with a B-. All right, you can check that out in theaters now, and probably streaming on Disney Plus very soon, maybe by Christmas. I don't know. But that's the way they usually do things now. So, all right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It, and we'll see you next time. Bye.